All right. We are live here with Chris Snow with exciting announcement. So today marks the official start of Game Changers Jacksonville. Are you excited, Chris?
Oh, absolutely, man. We've been looking forward to this for like the 2 weeks since we known that it was coming out. So
Yeah. Well, when we're thinking of the first couple local chapters to launch, in my mind, you were obviously a top candidate because you've been doing an amazing job with agent attraction over the last couple of years and have really already have been doing what we want to do with Game Changers Local, just kind of unofficially. And now we're just putting a name to it, incorporating all the groups. So let's talk about that a little bit. So
absolutely.
Let's rewind a second. Share who you are, what type of business you run, and what your agent attraction numbers look like today.
Okay. All right. So a quick background, got my real estate license in 2004. Started my first independent franchise with a business partner in our independent company in 2010. 2014, right at the end of 2014, we ended up buying a Century 21 franchise and thought that was what was going to allow us to build leverage and build a big brokerage and, have all kinds of passive income from these agents. And we got about 2 years into it and we said, wow, not only is our agent count not increased, our sales volume's pretty much the same as what we had before. And now we're just paying 8% off the top to a franchise. And so after paying them literally $100,000 a year in just franchise fees, because at the time we're doing about 150, 160 transactions. It was like, wow, we're not getting anything for our money. And if, it's a good business owner, you run your business and you go, okay, where's my business coming from? And is it making me money or is it losing me money? And when we looked at our single largest line item expense every year was our franchise fees. And I go, okay, well, are we getting any business from it? We don't have agents, so it's not getting from there. And we looked at it, we were getting like one transaction a year. And I'm like, if this were any other marketing, I'd fire it. So I'm like, okay, how do we fire it?
Wow.
So we started that process and that's how we ended up coming to eXp. And we looked at some of the other business models and to move a team of, $50 million in production, 150 transactions, we couldn't do a lateral move. It didn't make any sense, too much risk. And when we looked at all the opportunities that we had with eXp, we said, wow, this is it. Let's do it. Let's run with it. So that was just over 2 years ago. Our team this year, we grew from, on average about 9-10 agents on our team. When we made the transition over, we lost a couple, we picked a couple up. Well, as I'm sitting today, my team is at 21 agents and we are on track this year. Our goal was 200 sales and 60 million in production. And as we sit today, we're on track for 250 sales and 90 million in production.
Wow. That's awesome.
And we did that all by losing a franchise big brand name. So
Yeah.
it wasn't about the franchise. It was about us getting the right people, being around the right people and associating with other top producing teams and agents across the United States.
Yeah.
And as far as agent attraction, so after about 5-6 months of making the transition over, we had our team. And so we had a little bit of passive income coming in. But I looked at it and said, wow, I really want to take advantage of this. And so for about 2 years now, I've been carving a little bit of time out of each and every day to have conversations with agents. And I've had an opportunity to sponsor 40 agents. 35 are still with the company. I think 25, 20, 24, 26, 25, depending on the month, are qualifying agents. And those agents have turned into 162 agents as of today. I'm not growing as fast as some of the other teams and individuals that have grown out there, but I like the consistency. And, for someone who's doing this, if you look at, regardless of whether you're growing fast or growing slow, what I'm seeing is about every 6 to 7 months, your business will double, your group will double. And so I'm kind of on this pace of going, okay, by the end of the year, I'll be closer to about 200, 225 agents. And what that represents to me and my family is about, the last month it was about $6,000, about $7,500 the month before that. This month will be about $7,500. And by the end of the summer, we should be on track to be getting closer to $10,000 a month.
That's awesome. That's cool. So a lot there to unpack. So first thing, you moved over from Century 21. You're a franchise owner. I heard Brent say in Cabo, you don't own the franchise owns you.
Yes.
You actually wrote a pretty big check. You and your business partner wrote a pretty big check to get out of that franchise agreement to join eXp, which is pretty cool. You've almost doubled your business, it sounds like, after making the switch. And you guys, for those of you watching this, I want you to be thinking about Chris's story. And next time you have a conversation with a prospect and they're like, I don't want my business to go down. I heard this person join and they actually lost business. Like, well, actually, let me tell you about one of our partners in Game Changers Nation. And this is what their business actually did. Like, you should know these stories so you can share them with people, because stories sell. So that's awesome. And then the agent attraction side of it, I mean, shoot, you're running a team with over 20 agents doing almost 100 million in sales this year. And you have a revenue share team of 162 agents that, just because I know the numbers, they're probably selling between 70 and 80 homes a month. So you're also getting paid on those transactions, which is really cool.
Yep.
Let's break it down. So you sponsored 40, 35 are still FLAs, frontline agents, and 162 total. It's earning you, this month, it looks like it's going to be about $7,500. I know, because you and I talk a lot, you take a very methodical approach of reaching out to agents, having conversations. You don't do anything special. What I love about your story and your journey with the company is it's very systematic, and you can duplicate it, because anyone can do it, because all you're doing is the work. You didn't come over with a bunch of influence. You're not a coach. You're coaching inside of Game Changers Nation now, which is awesome. And but what you did, you can teach to anybody. And I want that to be encouraging for those watching, because 162 agents in a couple of years is incredible. I mean, for you to recreate that as an asset, like invested in, say, an index fund, that's like a $2 million asset that you created very part-time while you've been running a real estate company with your sales agents. So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
How long have you been with eXp now, Chris?
Just over, it's about 2.5 years.
2.5 years. Awesome.
Yep.
So go ahead.
And I was going to say that the neat part is that we have about 20 new people that come into my organization each month. And so, that effort of getting the first 20 personally was, I don't want to say it was difficult. I mean, it was methodical, right? I didn't have to beg, plead, and get people to come over. It's just show them the business model. They make a decision for themselves. And if they're either ready, great, let's sign up. If not, let's just, stay connected with them. And that was a little bit of a change from what I had before, which was, all right, agents are, they're a means to an end to another transaction. So let me move on to the next one as quickly as I can. And I didn't really want to, I don't want to say associate, but I really didn't want to, spend much time outside of my business life talking with agents. And now I look for those opportunities to just, chat with people and get to know them a little bit better and invest in them and their goals and dreams. And that's a lot more fun than how I was doing business before.
I love that. Yeah, that's a great mindset to have around, agents now. It's like, because I hear that by so many top producers, it's like you didn't have time to build relationships with agents before because you're selling so many dang houses. And now it's like, how can I look for opportunities to have conversations with agents? Because now you have a second business that you're running. Out of those, so you sponsored 40 people.
Yes.
Over the last 2.5 years. Do you know, or do you have a guess at how many agents you've spoke to about this opportunity so far?
Just shy of 200.
So just shy of 200. So I'm pulling my calculator here. So you've been here 2.5 years, which is 30 months. So you've on average chatted with, call it almost 2 people a week on average. Does that sound right?
That's about right. Sure.
So it's like
with intent, right? So
right. With intent. So over a 2.5 year period, you've essentially built, coming on a 6-figure year passive income by talking to 2 new agents a week. Like, why isn't everybody doing this? Like,
right.
Like like, what are your thoughts around that? Like, why are more people not doing that? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's the fear of being rejected by your peers. It's real easy for a buyer or seller to hang up on someone and they go, up next. That's $10 in my pocket, right? Because that's the mentality that we have. But the moment that someone who's in the same seat as you kind of challenges your business model or challenges your thought process, it's like, ooh, well, maybe they are right, right? And so we have a lot of this self-doubt. Instead of just saying, look, we've got an awesome business model. And when we came on board, we had about 14,000 agents. So it wasn't that it was like completely proven, but it was a lot more proven than when you joined, right? And so now it's like, I felt very comfortable from day one that I have something that people need to see and they want to see, they just don't know it yet. Yeah. And so, it's like anything else. What you lack in skill, you've got to make up for in volume. So my first conversations with people were bad. They weren't great, but still people came on board and that was like, okay, that's good. And now it's just refining that message of how do you get someone to listen to an opportunity? How do you get to the pain of what is missing in their business? And I've found that there are right ways to do it, at least for me. There are right ways for me to do it, and there are wrong ways for me to do it. And I always tell when I'm going down the wrong way because I'm talking a lot more. I'm speaking way too much.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are great points. What's interesting is it's like the fear of rejection, like you said, fear of failing in front of your peers. And it's just the ego, holding you back, trying to keep you safe. And you've built it to a large extent of more cold type prospects, like you've built an initial relationship through LinkedIn. One of the strategies, building an initial relationship on social media, which is what we teach. Right. And taking it offline to a phone call and just having a conversation around eXp, presenting the model. And so with that, it's not like you're calling up like people that knew you at your old brokerage where you have a relationship. Correct. You've built it largely on more cold type prospects. Would you say that's accurate?
Absolutely. And I think it's more my personality style because we've always had our team as a different team name. It doesn't have my name in it. Right. And when a traditional team says, hey, all transactions, the team leader, it all goes under the team leader. The individual agent can't put their name on the transaction. And we're like, no, they're the agent. They're doing the work. I want them to get recognition. And so in my local marketplace, even though we're doing a high volume, we may be a little bit under the radar. And when I tell someone, yeah, here's my team size and this is what they're doing, like, holy crap, it's because we're not in your face all the time. And maybe we should, but that's just not, you've known me now for 4 or 5 years. That's a very hard thing for me to get my mind around. And that's why I'm not on social media a lot. And that's just, again, my personality style. And if I can be authentic with who I am, I think it's going to come across. And I just haven't found how I can be authentic yet, doing video and stuff like that on social media. So yeah. I think the teaching and coaching, that's probably more my line. So, but I think, the warm prospects, I'm enjoying having those conversations now more. But the cold prospects are awesome because I get to find out all about them. Even my LinkedIn profile doesn't even say that I have my team name, but I don't blast that it's eXp because I don't want people to come to the conversation with a preconceived notion about what we're going to talk about. And it's interesting because I'll take 10, 12, 14 minutes of a conversation and I really haven't talked much about me. It's about them and what they're doing and what they did before and what they're finding. And then I'll start to relay my pain points and where I failed, because the moment that I start telling them about my failures and not my successes, all of a sudden I'm a lot more real to them and their gate of being open is there. And then it's not until I get to about the 16, 17 minute mark of a conversation do I even say the word name eXp for the first time. And I have a lot of people go, oh, yeah. And I'll just ask you, have you heard of eXp? And some will say yes, no, you'll get all kinds of responses. Other people, I'll get to that point and they'll go, oh, that's what this is about. Yeah. I've already talked to a bunch of people at eXp And I'm like, okay, well, great. And I don't let that deter me. I just try to find out where they're at in the process. Are they actively working with someone or not? But I can tell right off the bat that it's different, that they're used to someone coming up to them going, hey, you need to leave what you're doing. You come over here and you get rev share and you get this and you got this. And next thing you know, it's like, man, I just want to sell houses and I don't want all that. So those are the fun conversations when they've had other conversations with eXp agents that have just kind of shown up and thrown up. It feels different. And, I've pulled agents that have come over after telling, multiple people, no, I'll never do that. And those are gratifying.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I love that too, because so many times you talk to new agents, like new agents to the industry joining eXp or looking at eXp, or maybe they're lower producers. They don't have a lot of sales to reach out to cross-sell agents, and they don't have influence in their market. And they're like, they discount themselves and they say, well, I can't build revenue share because I don't know any agents. Well, you're proof. Like you've done, you've done hundreds, maybe thousands of deals in your career now. But you chose to kind of go a more cold prospect route, which is cool, and just shows to people who think that they can't do it because they don't have a track record. Like you really didn't use any contacts to get to where you are. So real quick, like say your line again on so they say, I've already heard of eXp. Like what have you found the most success with in changing the conversation to, okay, great. Well, I'm sure you've heard about eXp. Like, how do you change that tone? Like, because most will get afraid and hang up. Oh, you heard about it already? Okay, all right, great, bye. So how do you keep the conversation going? Looks like we froze. You're back.
I'm back. Sorry. Yeah, I'm sitting in a parking lot. So just finished with our lunch and learn. So,
I was checking to make sure we were still alive, and we are.
Yeah.
So
sorry about that. So your question was, how do I transition when they say, yeah, I've heard of eXp before? And I'm like, oh, man, that is awesome. What did you like most about the business model? Yeah. And that's it. And it's like, I don't like anything about it. Oh man, did you really? And nobody ever says that. I mean, they'll pick out something that they like, and if you keep it positive, it'll be positive. And I'll just, I ask them, how did you hear about it? Who did you, have you watched the video? Oh, there's a video? No, I haven't watched a video. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, maybe you haven't heard of the business model.
Yeah,
right.
And they probably usually haven't watched the video, I would imagine.
And I'll tap in. It's like anything else. Tap into the pain. The pain that they have right then and there is that they've heard of, they've been thrown up on a couple of different times. And I'll say something like, yeah, unfortunately, we have sometimes agents get really excited and it's awesome, but they don't take the time to figure out who someone is and why they're doing something and what their goals are. And do we even have something that might benefit them and can help them to that next thing in their business that they want to do? And I said, that's why I'm calling. I really have no idea. I don't know much about you. I wanted to learn a little bit more. And maybe our business model is right for you. Maybe it's not. But if I don't ask some questions, I'm never going to know.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's awesome. And it's like, you got to just keep the conversation going. That's all you're doing. Well, what do you like best? Like you're keeping the conversation going. And that's really what a good sales call does, is it keeps the conversation flowing until you're able to get enough information about the prospect, share enough with them to hopefully you can take a next step, which in this case, do you ever go straight into explaining the model yourself, or do you set another call to do something else?
Very, very little. I'll just tell them that, again, as I made the transition over and we were looking for other things, the two things that really stuck out to us about the model: had great training, had great technology, but we already had all of that in our business. That wasn't something that we were lacking. For some agents, it's awesome. But two of the things that we saw was that for doing all the things that we were doing on a day-to-day basis anyway, and the things that I've been doing in my previous 14 years in real estate, the company gives me ownership in the company, which nobody ever gave me. And then as I help the company grow, they reward me with extra revenue. And those were the things that I saw, and what that's represented for me and my family is X and X, right? And at that point, I'm just pausing to let that sink in for a second, and say, hey, what I love to do is I'd love to show you the video that I saw a couple of years ago. It's been updated to, with new information, but what I love to do is show you the video that I saw, a couple of years ago that made me spend $90,000 to buy out of a franchise to pursue this opportunity. If I were to send that over to you, would you take a look at it? And would you give me your opinion on what that model looks like? And that's it. That's my transition.
That's cool.
I'm not asking, and I'll tell them right up front. I say, I promise you, I will never ask you to join eXp. That is my promise to you, is I'll never ask you to leave your current company. Yeah.
Just give them the information. Let them.
That is correct.
Have you tried watching it with them versus just sending?
No. And that coming back from Phoenix, here's my mentality. Why, right? Is that if I know them, then yes, I would sit down and have that conversation with them, or watch the video with them. But most of the people that I'm getting this to are colder prospects.
Yeah.
So I'm guarded with my time. So, but I said, coming out of there, I'm going to do it. And, I've got a couple people that I've got follow-ups with that I'm going to just sit through and watch it with them and just set the appointment.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And maybe you just set like a threshold where it's like, if they're selling 24 homes a year, 12 homes a year, you watch it with them. So you can have like a production requirement, because it can be time consuming. Because I know you are doing a lot of appointments, things like that. And on the flip side, if you watch it with them, just shut off your camera while the video is playing on Zoom, do email, return calls and text the client. So then the video, how long it is, then you just come back when it's done. Because that's the challenge. If you guys are getting into agent attraction, the challenge is sometimes when you send it, they don't watch it. Like I know Chris is, as you guys can see, is very methodical. So he does a really good job with follow-up. So him sending the video, he's going to have more of a burden of follow-up, but he does a good job with it because he uses a CRM system. It's integrated into his day. Whereas someone who's not as strong with lead follow-up is really going to struggle if they're just sending out the video, because it is more follow-up intensive when you do it that way. Chris, since I mentioned the CRM, like what are your thoughts on agent attractors using a CRM? I kind of like the approach that you took on it.
I mean, it's you manage your business, and that's a part of your business. I mean, a name on a Post-it note is not a lead, right? It's not a lead until it goes into your CRM. I just put every agent in my CRM, and I've got my templates in there. I've got my text templates. I've got everything that I need to be very efficient and to schedule the next exposure, attraction, whatever you want to do. And because of my CRM, I don't use the CRM Grow. I use one that I'm already using for my buyers and sellers anyway, which is Follow Up Boss. And it tells me whether someone's at least clicked on the link and opened up the email. So I already know whether they've at least attempted to start the process of watching the video. I love it. It allows me to manage my day, allows me to push stuff out. I can look very quickly and see the entire history that I've had with that person. What emails have I sent to them? What text messages? And it makes it just a part of my day. When I look up and I go, okay, I've got 40 follow-ups today. Doesn't mean I'm making 40 phone calls. I'm just going to look at the individual person, see what the last exposure I had to them was. Do I need to invite them to something? Do I just want to say, hey, have a great weekend, go sell something? Hey, here was a great article that I saw. Thought you might like this. It's just a way to be relevant to them without always having to pick up the phone and do it. And
I love your approach with it. Like you said, you use the one you're already using. That's a great recommendation. Use what you're already using. If you're not using anything, then crmgrow.com is a good option.
Yeah.
But use what you're already using. Like having multiple systems is just going to complicate things. Yeah. And you were already living in your existing CRM for your real estate business. So it made a lot of sense just to have your attraction in there too. So I thought that was great.
The interesting part now is now that I'm getting more and more local agents in my database that I'm communicating to on an agent attraction side, I now pop in there and I'll see emails going back and forth from my agents. And I'm like, hey, why did they get in there? And I'm like, oh, they're working a transaction with them.
That's cool.
So now all of a sudden it's another point of contact. Hey, how are we doing? You know, are you enjoying working with my agent? You know, so it's all of a sudden giving me something to go back to. And if I need a reason to follow up with them, it's a great way to, again, another exposure that's in the course of doing business.
I love it. All right, Chris, in conclusion, let's share a little more details about Game Changers Jacksonville. So
Yes.
what are some of the things that you're already doing local there in Jacksonville?
Yeah, so we started this really last year, and then pandemic, when it came, we kind of lost a little bit of our momentum, but we do a weekly lunch and learn. So every Friday, we're at the same location from 12 to 1:15, 1:30 if it carries over. So we do that every Friday. The only time we are off is if it's a vacation. You know, I say vacation, if there's a holiday right there. We have enough people to cover, so that way not one person's having to always give the presentation. We do every fourth Monday. That's typically the next Monday after revenue share has been paid out. We do a rev share fun day. So we'll invite the local eXp agents. Don't have to be part of Game Changers, but any eXp agent that wants to join us, we go to Top Golf, we go bowl. And so we make that a point to do. Last year we did, or not last year, but 2019, our first year, we did like every other month training events. Well, this year, you know, now that we've got our coming out of Phoenix, I was like, wow, we got to get back on these training events. So we've got our next 12 months worth of training events happened and set up. And so we know that once a month, you're going to have something to invite an outside agent to come hear us talk about listings or business planning or taxes or lead conversion or social media. And we're going to have that as an in-person local. And we've got a calendar that people can plug right into and see what events we have, when they're going. And we'll create the Eventbrite link for people to send out.
I love that. That's powerful. Yeah, that's the key, guys. Doing a lunch and learn every single week, same time, same place. I love that. You said they're called Rev Share Fun Days once a month.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yep.
I really like that too, kind of making it a theme. And you are also inviting outside agents to that?
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yep. We'll invite a couple of them just to see, you know, hey, we like to have fun and here it is. And then I think we're going to do some other events, whether it's try to go to a minor league baseball game. You know, we got minor league hockey, we got minor league football, we got professional football. So we got all kinds of fun events that people can go to. It's just, you know, treating it like my team. What are things that we're doing on my local team, and just translate that into agent attraction. The interesting thing, and if anybody is looking to start doing this, I think the thing that we did first that made the most sense was we started the lunch and learns. We got the process going. And then we got sponsors, and we said, okay, everybody gives 3 or 4 different vendors that you're working with, and let's get them on a sponsor sheet. And we have one person who their only job is to make sure that every event that we do has a sponsor.
That's awesome. I love that. That's good. Good advice. Cool. I'm going to share where you guys can find Game Changers Jacksonville inside of Game Changers Nation. So maybe you guys are watching kind of what Game Changers Local is for the first time on this call. I would ask that you go into the guides section here and watch the training that John did last week on it, so you fully understand what Game Changers Local is, and maybe you could be a potential leader for one of the groups. So it's in guides, guide 2, the Game Changer Local Model Explained, and you'll get to see all the details there. So we're not going to cover them here. But what's cool with part of the vision is to have 100 Game Changers Local locations inside of Game Changers Nation. So what you'll see is if you click the About tab, you see so far we have Game Changers Daytona Beach and Game Changers Jacksonville. And eventually there'll be 100+ groups here. And what's cool is if you sponsor an agent, say in Denver, Colorado, say Chris has a guy in Denver, Colorado joining, Chris will be able to plug that agent into Denver, Colorado's Game Changers Local. Everything in Game Changers Local Facebook group should only be local. So there shouldn't be online training happening there. All the online training is happening in Game Changers Nation. So we're not like having these groups take over the main group. We're keeping them separate for separate purposes. One's local, one's online. So in there, you can post open houses, new listings, things like that, recognizing your local agents, all the local in-person trainings happening and events. So if you or someone you know that, or someone that you sponsored at eXp is in Jacksonville or Daytona, they can also join these groups. So that's the vision behind it. We want to take this cloud brokerage and just create the most amazing local culture possible, because what we've seen is, I mean, the way we built the Carolinas to one of the biggest divisions, if you want to look at it that way in the company, was through having a strong local culture. And now we're just duplicating that across the nation and eventually the world. So next week we'll be launching Game Changers Saskatchewan with Chris Molnar. And that's really exciting. So we'll be international with Game Changers Local. So pretty cool there. So that's it. I mean, anything that you want to add, Chris?
No, I just think 5 years ago when you made the decision to come over, did you ever think that you would be saying, you know, I'm an international company and brand?
You know, it's crazy. I share my story often on three-way calls and things like that. So it's like a broken record. I know you've heard it plenty, but my 5-year goal is 500 agents in my organization, and 5 years will be January 1, 2022. And I would be very surprised if I'm not well over 5,000 by then. So could have never imagined.
So coming out of Phoenix, I can't remember who had said it, but it was just that extra little, you know, shot of belief, right? Is that if you can get 5 people in your organization, you'll end up with 10. If you can get to 10, you'll be at 50. If you can get to 50, you'll get to 100. You get to 100, you go to 500. Get to 500, you go to 5,000. Yep. And I look at where my organization started, and it just felt like very methodical. And then all of a sudden, the pace is accelerating. The larger I get, the faster it's growing. And I'm like, wow, this is kind of what I wanted to do. Now, again, for those folks who aren't growing as fast as some of the other folks, that's okay. You know, if you start, you will get there. If you never start, you won't get there. Yeah,
that's great advice. And that's encouraging for so many people to hear. If you can get 5, you can get 10. If you can get 10, you can get 20. And if you can get 162, you can have 10,062. And that's just a fact. And given enough time, that's what will happen. So you're adding 20 a month. Soon it'll be 200 a month. And, 7,500 a month will be 75,000 a month, which is pretty cool. So congratulations on all your success. It's absolutely been fun to watch from my side of it. And thank you for being a leader inside of Game Changers Local, part of the GCC, the Game Changers Council, and more good stuff to come.
I appreciate everything that you do and just supporting us. And God bless, man. Have a great weekend, and looking forward to growing Jacksonville even more.
Cool. Awesome. We'll see you.